All right, guys, very special guest joining us right here in studio. Somebody who I've been super excited to talk to, who most of you guys have probably never heard of. So a couple weeks ago, I was reading an article on NASCAR.com about the Garage 56 program. And the person sitting next to me is dubbed, quote unquote, the chief of staff of the Garage 56 project. And I was thinking about all the championships and people they have over at Hendrick Motorsports. And of all of those people to head this program up, Jessica Hook is the person doing it. So thank you for stopping by.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
So tell the people. So what I found it super interesting and why I wanted to get you in here is because your path to where you currently are is like similar to a path of like the active competitors. Myself, Ryan, grew up sleeping on guys' couches coming from New Jersey, like with the sole focus of making it in motorsports. And I found that super fascinating. You grew up in Kansas, grew up going to the Cup races when they opened the track, and you took a gamble on yourself, went to UNC Charlotte, and then you found yourself sitting on Rick Hendrick's plane after a Sebring test with Chad Knaus, Jimmy Johnson, and Jeff Gordon.
Yeah, I mean, there was a lot that happened between those two events.
Doubt.
But yeah, pretty much.
Fill in that blank for me a little bit.
God. How long do you have?
As long as you want to. It's my show, and they can run it all they want to. But I'm so excited to talk to you because it's like this dream job story of believing in yourself, loving the sport enough to put all your eggs into, I wouldn't even call it the NASCAR basket, because what you find yourself doing right now isn't a NASCAR basket specifically, but it's a Hendrick Motorsports basket.
Right, yeah.
So did you ever think that you'd be flying to Le Mans in 3 days from now, being kind of the person who has coordinated the entire effort?
No. Like if you asked me a year ago or a year and a half ago, I would not have believed it at all.
Yeah.
So it's been a whirlwind for sure.
Yeah. So the whole project's fascinating to me because it's the first time not the first time NASCAR's been in Le Mans.
Correct.
But it's the first time they've been 50 years.
Right. Yeah.
So what is the task and what are some of the objectives that are kind of laid out from NASCAR, from Chevrolet, and internally at Hendrick Motorsports? What are some of the objectives and goals you guys are trying to set out for?
I think what we're trying to do is just show what we're capable of, to show that this car can not only perform well and be fast, but also last 24 hours and last with a multi-class racing type style of event, and just show that we belong there and that we're, just a high level, high caliber performance engineering racing team. It's actually funny because we've had people come and visit the shop from outside of NASCAR, from the FIA, the ACO. And one of the first comments I had was they just were in disbelief about, Hendrick Motorsports and the organization and, you've been to our campus and how big it is. And
it's unbelievable.
The first comment he has, it was like, oh my gosh, this is like an F1 style type of racing. And they just don't know that over there. They don't see that side. So I think it's a great opportunity to show that side of NASCAR and that level that we compete at.
So when you see Chad Knaus's name pop up on your Microsoft Teams app,
Yeah.
right, and he says, hey, stop by my office, I got something to ask you.
Yeah.
You had no inclination that he
No.
would be tabbing you or just at least telling you, hey, this is what we're going to do.
No idea.
And we want you to be the one that's doing it.
Yeah. I mean, the only thing, so Chad had just done some of the IMSA races with Jimmy, and I had kind of talked to him about that because that was what I had just gotten out of working in IMSA. So I kind of just told him a few of the basic things just to help him out a little bit. So he knew I had that sports car racing background. But beyond that, I had no idea what it was about, or definitely didn't know Le Mans.
So before you got on the Garage 56 program, what were you doing at Hendrick? Were you just a shop engineer?
Yeah, so I just moved over. I was working as a design engineer, and I literally just moved over to Kevin Mendering's group. I think I was there not even a week. I want to say it was like 2 or 3 days.
So that's the test team? Is that what Kevin heads up?
Yeah, performance engineering group. Yeah, so he wasn't very happy that he lost me like
So-
2
A
days
weekend,
after I
yeah.
started working for him.
So I guess my question would be, when we switch to the next gen car with your IMSA experience, because these cars are way different than the truck arm big spring cars are running, and more like an IMSA style car. How much did they lean on your knowledge of that?
Not really. I mean, just because the car, I know it has some similar components, but it is very different, and the tracks they go to, and they're very well equipped. Anything I said probably wouldn't have helped much. They were already on it.
Has your sports car experience helped with just the knowledge of how the weekend's going to be and how test run is that? How much has that helped you? Being around a bunch of NASCAR guys.
Yeah, I mean, it helped. I mean, I'm very familiar with all the tracks we've been going to. Sebring, we've been there a lot, and I'm familiar with some of the guys. Actually, it's been great because I've been able to lean on some of those relationships I had back when I was working in sports car racing. I've been leaning on Bill Riley a lot, and he's been a great help, great mentor for me. And so it's kind of nice to start those conversations with those guys again, and just kind of be in the paddock again with the IMSA guys.
You might have been standing out there last week. They took the Garage 56 car to the GM, like out front of the GM Tech Center. They were taking pictures of it.
Yeah.
And I cruised by.
Oh yeah.
And I rolled, and Chad saw me and rolled my window down. I was with my grandpa. He was in the front seat. And Chad was like, "Why don't you take this thing for a spin?" I'm like, "That son of a bitch is way too nice for me to drive it." That car, dude,
He
so
called me.
cool.
He's like, "Dude, that thing is sick in It's like even more
Dude,
cool in person."
It's amazing.
And people can make fun of headlights on a race car they want. The headlights and tails look badass.
They look sick.
Yeah.
What are some of the things? I mean, that thing is a cup car, air quotes, on steroids. What are some of the challenges of taking what the fans see on a Sunday and converting that car into something they can run at full capacity for 24 hours at Le Mans?
Yeah, I mean, it was a huge effort because basically every system on that car had to get looked at. The biggest challenge that we had immediately was we had to lose 400 pounds of weight, and then also add 100 pounds of electronics onto it. So really you're looking at 500 pounds that you're trying to shed. So
What are some of those additional electronics?
Headlights, taillights. We've got some additional sensors, data loggers. We've got the ACO Morelli system that we have to run during the event. The GPS, telemetry. We've got Bosch components on there. I mean,
Paddle shifters.
Yeah.
Traction control.
I'm not sure on
Why
that.
paddle shift? Why not just go with the sequential shift?
It's faster.
Protects the gearbox too.
Does it?
Yeah, because you're going, 3,000
Drivers. This is the drivers.
Drivers.
Yeah. You got to take that variable out because we'll mess that up in a second.
How much?
Yes, we do have TC. Sorry.
Yeah.
Oh.
ABS as well.
No, not ABS.
Is there a balance of performance you guys have to kind of stay within a box of? How does that work?
Yeah, it's a bit sticky. They want us obviously to. This is where I'm saying with the multi-class racing, it's hard. They want you in a window to where you're not impeding any of the other cars' races going on, and so you don't want to be in the way, but you also want to be fast enough to where
You're not in the way.
you're not in the way, but you want to be slow enough to where you're not in the way. So and it's hard because it's like you only have this event to really see where you stack up. I mean, you can do all the simulation work you want to do. You can go to all these tests and try to do comparisons, but Le Mans is a unique track, and you've got different cars that are coming in with their own balance of performances that are changing on, after every race. So we really don't know until we show up there. So
I found it super interesting that you're leaving Saturday.
Land Sunday, but leaving Saturday.
Which is 2 full weeks before the event.
Yes. It actually used to be longer, by the way. It used to be like 3.5 weeks. Yeah.
So they close the roads down and make the closed circuit. How far out? A week?
You'll do that the week before for the test day, and then they'll open right back up. And then they'll be open again until we're on track on Wednesday. So
how many core group, like your team, what's your core group of, like, what's the number of those guys going?
I think we're at, from HMS or just everyone?
The people who have hands on the car.
I think we're up to like 40.
Okay.
I only know that because that's how many credentials we get. So, yeah.
What are, so we were talking about just shipping the stuff over there.
Mm-hmm.
How much stuff do you have to bring?
I can tell you, I just had to weigh it all. We're at 18 tons.
It was just. And now, do you have
Not
a spare?
including cars.
How many cars do you have?
2 cars.
2.
Yeah.
And then, how many cars do you think you have in pieces? Like
Probably 4.
Yeah.
Really?
You have clips
a
and
lot of
everything, like
spares.
ready to go.
Yeah, we have spare clips,
Wow.
spare bodywork, spare greenhouse, like everything we've got. Because we basically have to be our own race shop there when we
Yeah,
when
you
we
can't
go.
drive down the street to Jim Bob's Auto Parts. And
Yeah,
get
there's no Home Depot over there.
Dude, the packaging, like the packaging of that alone is a full-time job.
Yes, yeah, it's been brutal.
Hopefully, you don't need to use any of those spare parts because you have 3 world class drivers, one of which is a Spa champion. I'm sorry, not Spa, Le Mans champion, and Mike Rockenfeller.
Yeah.
And your old teammate.
He was my teammate at Watkins Glen and also the Roval. Him and I shared a rental car at Watkins Glen, so we get to spend a lot of time.
Oh, I bet that was fun.
Probably equally as much time, if not a little less of what the amount of time you've got to spend with Rocky, but spending time with 7-time Cup champion Jimmy Johnson.
You guys are on a nickname basis.
I was gonna say,
Just
let's
one
see
rental
how
car
you-
ride.
Rocky,
Now he's Rocky.
Me and Rocky are buddies, bud. And then Jensen Button, F1 world champion. How unique and different, and what are some strengths of individual guys make collectively that driving team strong?
I mean, that's way above me. I think it's good because, you know, you've got, like you said, Rocky who's been to Le Mans before, and he kind of knows the cadence, he knows the procedure, he knows that multi-class racing and can pass that on. Obviously, you know, Jimmy Johnson knows that car probably better than anyone else. And then Jensen's just a, you know, world champion guy who just gets in and goes fast, and I think they all have great strengths, but also what you're looking for, especially with this project, is cars are drivers that are just consistent, right? You're just need to go out there, keep the car clean, make laps, make sure we finish. And I think all these guys, from what I've seen with testing, they're really good at taking care of the car, and that's what you're for Le Mans. That's what you're looking for.
Can you give us some of the juice? Like, who's the fastest?
Oh, no, I can't.
Come on.
No.
Darn.
I was gonna say I still have another two and a half
2
weeks.
weeks.
I'll talk to you on June 12th.
Yeah. Watch the timing and score and see. I'd imagine Rocky's pretty fast.
They're all very.
Well, Jordan Taylor's coach too.
Yeah, they're all, and Jordan also, he hops in and is right there with them and very consistent. He's really good and very valuable. They're all within a few seconds, really.
I'm sure no matter what happens for Jensen and for Rodney Sandstorm there, it's going to be a way better experience than running Coda. Because both of them after the race were like, they went in smiling, they came out, and they were like, what was that?
Yeah, they're not going to have a BMW stuffed up on their ass lap 1.
Well,
I hope
not. She hopes not.
Yeah, hope not. So what's interesting and somewhat confusing, which I'm going to need you to explain it to me, is that I don't first, like, is there going to be a moment, like, after you cross the start-finish line after 24 hours, like, is there a champagne popping moment? Like, yes,
I hope so.
we
Yeah,
did it. Like, is making it 24 with essentially no issues like the ultimate goal?
Yeah, I mean, that's always been kind of number one goal. Like, we have a weekly meeting, technical meeting, and we read off, you know, these are the goals just to make sure everyone is in the line. And that's goal number 1 is, you know, we want to finish on, you know, June 11th at 4 o'clock with the rest of the field there.
Has the car caught on fire yet?
A little bit. Just a little
Well,
bit.
it's a race car, so.
We've done that a lot with the next gen car, so let's try to mitigate that.
It was actually, I will say this, it's good because it happened during testing.
Yeah.
So now we're prepared for it.
Yeah.
So, and I'll say the guys just jumped in, and it was like a swarm of guys replacing parts. I thought for sure like we were done. And within, I want to say it was like an hour, maybe an hour and a half, the car was out running again. So I think it's good because now we're prepared for that, and we know what we need to do if that happens again.
What's the schedule of maintenance for that car over 24 hours? How often are brake pads, rotors?
Brakes are going to be once, probably at 14 hours.
Oh, wow, that's not bad.
Yeah, they're carbon rotors, carbon pads, so they're really good.
So you change both rotors and pads.
Yes.
Cool.
Yeah, we'll change those. And then oil, the car's thirsty. It'll drink a lot of oil.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Is that the same? Is it the same 358 that we were on Sunday afternoon with
I
some
believe
tweaks?
so, yeah.
Or
The
358?
R07
Yeah.
V8, yeah.
Okay.
So do you just add oil like you add gas? Is that how you would do it?
I think we're going to do it every 2 hours.
Like a gallon?
So
or
every
do it by
other-
the gallon?
You're
or-
asking
Give me
one
4 tires
person.
and a quart of oil.
Yeah, give me, yeah.
Yeah.
Ugh.
That's really cool. But so let's back up a little bit before this project came about. When you came and you got hired by Hendrick, right? I found it interesting that you were offered out of college a lucrative job at Duke Energy, and you were like, no, I don't want to go engineer power grid. I want to go work in racing.
Mm-hmm.
Took a job at Riley,
Mm-hmm.
IMSA car. You started to go IMSA racing. Did you have NASCAR crew chief aspirations? Like, what was your kind of vision of how you saw your career going at that point in time?
Yeah, I think when I was in college or right when I moved to North Carolina, I wanted to be a crew chief because that's kind of all I knew was the NASCAR structure of that. While I was in college, I had a professor that was the one that introduced me to sports car racing. And that was back when Audi was really big with their R18. And I watched actually a documentary on them. It's called Truth in 24. It's a really good documentary. I highly recommend it. And that was when
Is it on Netflix?
I don't think it is.
Oh.
I tried to find it. I think it's on Amazon Prime.
Okay.
But that's when I saw, the race engineers. They actually had a female race engineer, Lena Gain, on that team. And that kind of put that idea, like, I love that car. That was so cool. I actually got to see it in person in Sebring in 2012. And it was a diesel, so it's quiet.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And so it's crazy because you'd hear all these, loud cars go by. And then all of a sudden you just hear this like this whistle of the drivetrain. And I thought that was the coolest thing, just as an engineer and that technology. It was really cool to see. And they were such a high caliber team. And it was like the Cool Runnings guys, the Swiss
Yep.
team that
Oh,
you
yeah.
saw, like they're so buttoned up and have all their stuff together. And it was like, I want to be on that type of team, on that caliber of racing. So that's what actually got me into more of the sports car racing, which is structured a little bit different, but the goal was kind of the same, to be a race engineer.
So it's pretty obvious you're in a pretty male-dominated sport, motorsports, right? And
Yeah.
you're kind of, what I found is super fascinating, what I wanted to get you in to talk about it is like you are making your own way, like not the easy way, right? Like you're taking the hard way, and I respect that.
Thank you.
Are you content with what you're doing, or do you want to do more?
I want to do more.
What's that look like?
It's hard to say because this project has really opened my eyes to all the different positions within, a race team. I always kind of had a tunnel vision of race engineer, but now I've been working more on like the management side and running a race team. And now I'm thinking, well, I've kind of enjoyed that side too.
Yeah.
And connecting with all these people. And, people have been asking me like what I want to do after this, and I'm like, I'm actually kind of, since I've been out of college, not sure, because this really has
Take a
opened my eyes to it.
vacation.
Yeah, that's my first answer, is like, I'm at least going to take a few weeks off and have a little vacation, but then after that, I don't know yet. But I will say the sports car racing, this has made me realize how much I miss it and how much I do love
So
that field.
is the plan, like, when you're done with Garage 56 to take a week or two off and then go back to, like, Kevin Mendering's group?
I think so. You'll have to ask Chad.
Oh, well.
Let me know what he says.
I mean, you can come
I
on
mean,
over to
that's-
Spire. We could use
Yep.
it.
Okay, yeah. If there's a job over there, I'll go.
You're a pretty good spot, surrounded by a lot of great people. Is there somebody besides Chad? Because Chad's the obvious pick who kind of tabbed you with this project to head up. But is there somebody besides him and Kevin who you almost share an office with, Kevin Meendering over there, that you've leaned on, whether it's leadership, engineering? Like, who's that person over at Hendrick that has kind of mentored you?
It's been right now. It's been Greg. I've been working with
Yeah.
him a lot lately, and just doing just lots of little things, anything that I can do to help assist him and work with him. And he's a great leader. Listening to him talk to the crew and talk to the drivers, I'm just trying to be a sponge and soak it in, because he's so good with everyone. And he's kind of been the one that I've been leaning on lately.
Have you told Jeff that you were a Dale Earnhardt fan growing up?
No, I didn't.
Ooh. Oh man.
I did not, but I did, and it is my goal. I need to get his autograph for my sister because growing up, she actually had the full size Jeff Gordon cardboard cutout, and I think she even wrote on there, like, her name's Amy. Like, I hope Amy's my #1 fan. So I was gonna see if I could get him to sign that, something for her to say that.
I would say that you've earned the right to ask Jeff for an autograph. On
Thank
your
you. I appreciate
cardboard.
that.
The more you do at work, though, the more corny you feel when you ask somebody that you work with. Because now he's a coworker,
right? I
And
know.
it's like,
yeah,
I don't want to.
I know. That's the kind of position I'm in now.
Is there
nice.
pressure? Like what areas in which do you feel pressure leading up to the June 10th?
I mean, everything. Just because I've kind of had my hands in everything with it, you know, like we talked about shipping and logistics, but I've also been working with the FIA and the ACO trying to get, you know, our car to pass scrutineering and tech, and also updating all the documents. There's so many documents you have to fill out for that for just that one race. So trying to get that all done. I'm working with our vendors, our suppliers. They're actually sending me pictures as we speak right now of our garage. So they're setting up our containers, our wall boards, our gantry system. All that's going up right this second. So I've been working with them and IT guys, communications. You're in France, so everything's a little bit different. So we have to just make sure we've got provisions and for whatever we need.
They build all that there.
Mm-hmm.
That's the crazy part, right? Is that when you go to Le Mans and you see all the stuff,
Mm-hmm.
once you start working and you realize that it's all just people that built it, right?
Yeah.
And it's just about your team.
Yeah.
So
It is crazy. The garage is there. If you see the before picture, they look almost like a bunker. It's like concrete walls, you know, concrete floor. And then, but then you see it after the teams move in, and it's, you know, F1 style looking garages, and it's crazy. And that's all, built by a lot of people.
Mm. So what do you recall the day in which Chad told you to come into his office and told you you were doing the project?
I know it was like, I actually do have this on my calendar. It was early March, like March 3rd or something like that. Yeah, because I just had like my 1 year of being on this.
14 months, give or take, of thinking about this project nonstop every day.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, I've told people I kind of feel like it's my wedding day all over again. You know how you have like this year of prepping and you meet with all the vendors, and you don't really get to see it all together until the day, right? Till your day. So you're just kind of hoping and praying like your florist shows up and your cake looks good, and it's kind of the phase where now it's like the planning's done. Now it's the reacting and getting there and making sure everything in our head has actually come together and looks good. And from the pictures I've seen so far, I think it is, and it's going to look really good.
It's one of the few things that's more expensive than a wedding.
That's true.
Yep, that's for sure.
Not very many things.
I hope so. Yeah, at least my wedding. Yeah.
It seems like that's quite the undertaking.
What's a win? What's a win for the Garage 56 program? Like, other than obviously finishing, say you guys finish, like, is there a certain pace that you're looking for? Is there certain cars that you think you might beat?
Yeah, I think we're hoping to be kind of on par and close with the GT Am cars. So it's the LMGT class, which is basically the GTE cars from last year. And you've got a mix of drivers, pro and amateur. So we're hoping to be comparable to them in their lap times.
And then, like, is there a long-term goal in place for this? Like, in 10 years from now, there's a full NASCAR series? Is that what this is? Or are you just kind of going there and see, like, are we just going there as a sport and seeing, like,
I think so. I hope so.
And see where it goes?
I haven't heard anything officially, but I hope that's the plan, because I think we definitely have the car and the team to do it.
All right, I got one more question.
And the headlights and taillights, too. My vote is to put them on every week.
Who's pitting this thing? You bringing pit crew guys?
We are bringing our pit crew. So we got a special exception. It was actually the ACO's idea, because we were planning on putting air jacks in, like trying to make this car like a sport. Yeah, and the ACO basically said, like, no, we were expecting to see, like, we want to see a NASCAR style pit stop. So we're like, okay. So we're bringing our full on pit crew. They actually are going to have a pit crew challenge I think Tuesday before the race that we entered. So we'll be doing that. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And they allowed us the fifth Jackman. There's a lot of pressure for those guys. They know they need to win. Man. But those guys are fast. Like last year, I think it was a 13 second. I can't remember exactly, but I think that's where they were at. Because the air jack is just so.
But is there
quick.
choreography? Is the choreography going to be the same? You have two changers, a carrier, and a jackman?
Yes. Yeah. So you're allowed 2 wheel guns, and then your jackman. 4 guys over the wall, two air guns. And
if they use NASCAR choreography, they should smoke 13 seconds.
I think they're looking really good. Yeah, it should be good.
Show them how to do it.
If you need, the 7 guys are fast. If you just need to tap them for a weekend, they could go. They're Hendrick guys.
What's that? What's June 10th weekend layover on the Cups?
Sonoma.
Yeah, you might as well bring the 7-car guys. I'll say it for them.
Yeah, we're going to have a couple fans to pit my car. I'm not very good at road courses. So I'm going to ask you the 3 questions I ask everybody. You're no exception to a guest on Stacking Pennies.
Okay.
If you had to pick one car and one racetrack to, in your case, crew chief the rest of your life, what do you go with?
Can this be like at any time?
Your answer.
I would love to go back to Le Mans, but with like the Steve McQueen era, like late 60s, early 70s, Porsche 917, Ford GT40, one of those cars, just to hear them, just to hear that engine.
Yeah.
It's a great answer.
We won't tell Jeff that you really want to be Earnhardt's crew chief. We'll keep that.
Thank you. I appreciate it. This doesn't air anywhere, right?
I don't think he's listening.
Edwards back there is like, what the heck?
Question number 2. It is, you don't have a ton of racetrack experience, I guess, but you do and you don't. But what's the most embarrassed you've been at the racetrack?
At the racetrack.
Yeah.
That's a good thing.
That is a good thing.
That is a good
if
thing.
Nothing comes to your mind, you're in pretty good shape.
To make this Le Mans theme, I've had very awkward situations in France in the bathrooms because of the way they're structured over there.
What about them?
So last year I was at a restaurant and I went to go use the bathroom, and apparently over there they put the sinks in the middle. Like you open the door and the sinks were in the middle for both guys and girls to use.
Okay. They're starting to do that around here some.
Maybe. Yeah. And so I opened the door and I just see this guy washing his hands, and so I assumed I went in the wrong door. And so I immediately closed the door and I like tried to find the waitress to like ask her where the women's bathroom is. And again, she only speaks French, so she was like kept pointing there and I'm like, I don't think that's right. And then I opened it and sure enough there was another door. So that was a bit embarrassing and awkward.
Before I ask the 3rd question, something else that I found interesting in that NASCAR.com article is how you are a 3rd-generation engineer.
Yeah.
Your dad's engineer for Boeing.
Yeah, he was. Yeah.
He was.
Yeah.
Found that super
and my grandfather's too. Boeing and NASA,
no kidding.
Cessna. Yeah. I mean, I'm from Wichita, Kansas.
NASA? You just slide that one, just NASA.
Yeah, NASA, you know.
Cessna.
So did he put Neil Armstrong on the moon?
No, not that. Later NASA.
Yeah. Or if he has Merriman, they still haven't went to the moon. But we'll get into that.
He was in the Apollo era, but I think it was after that.
Okay,
yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So it seems like your dad's a huge supporter.
Yeah.
Super pumped up.
Yeah.
Proud of you.
Yeah.
What is he? And your sister, who was like you said, had a cardboard cutout of Jeff Gordon.
Yeah.
What do they think about you heading this project up?
I think they're super proud. It was actually cool with that article. I got to call my dad and talk to him a little bit when that came out. And unfortunately, just it's hard for us to talk very often just with how busy this has been. But when that article was coming out, that's when I called him and we kind of got to reminisce on some of these memories of how I got into racing. And it was cool to relive that. And he made sure to say how proud he was. His line is, you're just at the moon, you're on your way to Mars, you're only at the moon right now. And that means a lot, and he's the one that kind of gave me this whole idea and put together, he saw how passionate I was about racing and also saw that I excelled in math. And I mean, if it weren't for him, I definitely wouldn't be here. And so I try to include him on the journey and try and take pictures and send text messages as much as I can.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Question number 3. We probably haven't got to the moment in which you're going to pick. If you had to lose all of your racing memories, all of your SRT Viper memories, all your Rally IMSA car memories, everything, and keep one, what do you pick?
That's tough. I think I'm going to think about Le Mans. So in 2016, I went there and I actually got to kind of be a fan. I was there for homologation. That was happening the Monday after a race, so I got to fly in.
What does that mean?
Yeah, you're way over our heads.
Sorry.
We're like we know happy hour is, right?
Is that where like the light figures pop up in Star Wars? And like they deliver a message. Is that
Yeah,
what,
you're so close. Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
That's
We're simple
It's a
beings.
little
It's
different.
practice,
Yeah.
happy hour, qualifying, race. That's all we
I
know.
don't know what this
So,
scrutiny
and then did you make it through tech, or did our car chief get thrown out? That's all we know.
That's where we're at.
And it's kind of similar. I mean, it's basically when I worked at Riley, we were a constructor for the LMP2 and LMP3 cars. So they give you a rule book, and then there's obviously things in there that you can adjust or declare, and you have this document that basically you're declaring everything on the car. So then that way, when your customer's racing the car, that's kind of the book that they use to make sure you're within spec, if that makes sense. So I was over there because part of the process is when you do this 100-page form, then you go and get the car inspected, and you either bring the FIA official to your shop, which we've done that, or in this case, we somehow were able to bring our LMP3 car to Le Mans, and they basically just used the Parc Fermé, the tech shop that they had set up at Le Mans. So they set it up so it was the Monday after the race. So I went there like the Friday before and got to go to like the driver's parade and kind of be more of a fan, because I never got to do that stuff when I'm on a team. You're just at the garage working on cars, working on stuff. So I actually got to go to some of these events. And one of the things I got to do during the race was go across the track from the garage where the stands are. And they have like, it's like a carnival there, like a weird European carnival. Like it's all different languages on the intercom or on the speakers. And they've got like this guy jumping off this platform onto this inflatable balloon thing. It's nuts. And
is that a blob? Is that what we call the blob?
Maybe.
I think it's the blob.
It's I've seen them in the lakes where you jump on one and then the person
blob,
goes.
yeah.
It's similar to that, but there's no
The
one.
French blob.
Yeah, it's the bloop. So they had that, and I mean we were there at like 2 a.m. and it is still like party. Like there's tons of people there. They have these shops in there that's got like these really vintage, old, cool car like Ferrari, Porsche. Like if you're a car guy, it's just paradise. And so we did all that, and then they have this Ferris wheel, and so we went and did the Ferris wheel, and there's like full moon. It's beautiful. And we were up there, and it's in the coolest spot because it's right where the Porsche curves are, right before the Ford chicane start finish line. So you can hear like all the downshifting, all the different types of cars, downshifting and then upshifting going across the front straight. And it's just the coolest sound and vantage point. And I remember it's just like, this is why I'm here. You know, I love it. I'm passionate about it. This is one of my favorite sounds, favorite places to be. And it was a good reminder of, you know, why I'm doing it.
I still don't know what homologation means.
I don't know what homologation means, and I don't understand why they're just called tech and why it's Parc Fermé. I don't
know.
It's just language barrier.
Yeah, I guess we'll never. We'll never. That's why they tapped her to do it instead of us.
Yep.
You should come. It's a once in a lifetime experience.
It is, but I'll be in Sonoma.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah, that weekend job really screws up my fun.
I'm getting older, so when I give up this full-time tire changer gig, maybe
He'll go jump on the blob.
Yeah.
I'll go jump on the blob and try to win the picker competition in Le Mans.
And I've got some restaurant recommendations too.
Yeah.
Which bathrooms to use.
Yeah. Well, cool. Good luck, man. It's so
Thank you.
exciting. We're so
Appreciate
pumped for you guys, and I'm excited to watch it. I don't know much about Le Mans. I'm learning about it, and it's pretty interesting stuff.
I'll definitely be tuning in. So where can people go and keep up with, whether it be time of scoring or watch it on TV? Where's the best coverage to watch you?
So I think Motor Trend will be airing it. I think they'll do the full 24 hours on their app. If you have, I think it's a $4 subscription that you can watch the entire thing. But then I think they'll have certain segments on TV. I also know I think the WEC just came out with an app that they are promoting and using to also do video, in-car camera, all that stuff, which we will have an in-car camera in our car.
Where can I watch that?
I would think it's on the app. I'll double check. I'll let you know.
I'd watch that.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, we'll get you set up.
Well, Jessica Hook, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks
Good
for having
luck.
me. Thank you.
Safe travels.
You too. Appreciate it. We'll have the Sonoma race on while we're over there, so we'll be watching you guys.
Very
Awesome.
good. We'll be watching you guys as well. Represent us well. Garage 56 car guys, June 10th. These guys are flying across the pond to go give it to them. Led by Jessica Hook herself. She's going to take them to the promised land. Right here, Stacking Pennies. Thank you.
Thank you.